Hi, welcome back to the James Podcast because it's my podcast. And today I have a top 10 ranking. I literally just sat and thought for maybe like 5 minutes about my top 10 most underrated songs. So I have a bunch of songs from artists that you may or may not know of, and I'm going to just kind of talk about them. So these are in no particular order. I just kind of did whatever the first kind of songs that came into mind. So my first song that I have is The Tower by Pom Pom Squad. So Pom Pom Squad is probably the exact opposite of what you immediately think of when I say that name. They are like a kind of grunge rock band, and what's really cool about this song is that it kind of takes inspiration from tarot cards. So the song kind of is like a whole metaphor, and it's just really good because the singer, like, her voice is so good on this song. I mean, her voice is really good on all the other songs, but I think this one is really when it's all honed in. It's just really great. I just don't really think there's any other song that's kind of like it. My mic just dropped, lol. But I personally really like the song. It kind of starts off slower, and then after like the first chorus, I wouldn't really even say there's really any like kind of choruses. But after kind of the first part, it gets kind of more rocky. That's probably not like a word, but that's kind of what it is. Okay, so then for my second song, it's Miles Per Hour by Doechii. So when Doechii first kind of became viral, really the first song that I knew her for was Alter Ego. And then I would say kind of like Alter Ego in itself is underrated, but I think Miles Per Hour is even more underrated because I think everyone kind of knows Doechii now as Anxiety and Denial's a River. Personally, I think her best tracks are going to be those Alter Ego, the Miles Per Hour. That's where she really has fun, and it's just kind of those like, I don't know how to say it without. It's kind of like her, like, baddie tracks where it's just her being like iconic. Miles Per Hour, I personally think is better, just because it is like her solo project. I mean, with JT, it was also really good, but I just personally prefer Miles Per Hour. So then my third pick is Start a War by Jennie. This one is slower for Jennie. I have to say this might be very controversial, but Jennie's album outsold Lady Gaga's album in my opinion. I am not a Blackpink fan by any means. Before listening to Jennie's album, I mean, I just really think she did a fantastic job on the album. I mean, there's a lot of hits. I think Start a War, though, is one of my personal favorites that doesn't really get that much attention. It is slower. It's kind of like more of like a love song, just kind of like, I'm dedicating myself to you, like, I'll do all of this for you. It's just a really cute, it's like not cute, it's a really good song. It's very heartfelt, and compared to kind of what the other tracks that Jennie has on the album, which mostly are kind of your like rap hip hop kind of sounds, this one's is very more of like a slower pop alternative kind of beat, which I really do enjoy. Just kind of highlighting some other ones that did not make the list, like With the IE, Matcha. Those are some other like good songs on the album, but I think especially Start a War. So then my number 4 is Family and Friends by Oklo. Oklo is a French, I want to like producer, DJ, and on her most recent album, Choke Enough, which I think I did talk about in my last podcast, if you want to go check that out, very good. I have to say Family and Friends was definitely my standout, so I'm just kind of highlighting it again because I think I don't really remember my other podcast that well, but Family and Friends was definitely my standout of the album, and it still is my standout. And it's not even one of like the more popular songs on the album, but I definitely think it deserves more popularity because it just is really unique. And I think just now with how many songs come out and how many like what we can expect from musicians, I think having that unique kind of sound is really good for me personally, just to kind of just like hear like your unique take and like how you make music. So I do think that is like this is like it's a really good song. Going on to my next song, number 5, we have "Wish You Were Dead" by Lola Young. So not to brag, but to brag, I actually knew Lola Young before she went viral with Messy, which I am very happy that she went viral. I also, backtracking a little bit, I did know Doechii before she went. I knew Doechii when Alter Ego hit. I just don't, I don't know, because I mean, she really became viral in the Grammys. So I knew her definitely way well before the Grammys. So if we want to count that as me knowing her before she went viral, that's also counts. But Lola Young, I definitely did know her before she went viral with Messy. And I have to say, when I first listened to the album and just kind of kept listening to it again, Messy was honestly not one of my standouts. Personally, I mean, really do like Messy. I do personally think "Wish You're Dead" is more I just personally like "Wish You're Dead" better. It's just kind of more, it's still kind of that angry tone that Lola Young has with Messy, but it's more kind of, it has a harder punch than Messy did, because Messy is more of kind of like mellow compared to "Wish You're Dead." And I honestly just really like "Wish You're Dead." It's kind of, I wouldn't say it's chaotic, but it's a little bit chaotic, but with the lyrics. But I personally think if you really liked Messy, I think that you would really like "Wish You Were Dead." So that is my number 5. My number 6 is going to be "California" by Chaperone. So with Rise and Fall of a Midwestern Princess, I usually hear people talk about a lot of the songs on the album. I have to say, probably out of like more recent albums, I think that one has a lot of songs that people talk about, just because there are so many singles from that album. Let me pull the album up real quick. Okay, so like some of the like popular songs that people talk about, like "Phenomenon," "Red, White, Supernova," "Coffee," "Casual," "Hot to Go," "My King Gets Karma," "Pink Pony Club," obviously. Those are kind of like some of like the main songs that people talk about. And then some people talk about the other songs, but I really think "California" is the one song that people don't really talk about, that people should talk about. Because it's, again, another slow one. I think you can probably sense a pattern of what I personally like. But I think out of all of her kind of slower songs and more deeper meaning songs, I think this one takes the cake on just being really personal to her. It just kind of tells her story and like how she has kind of moved all across the place and just kind of finding herself in a way is kind of what the song is. It also does shout out Missouri, which, I mean, I'm from Missouri, so I always love when a song like sneaks in Missouri, because it's like, oh my gosh, I'm from there. Because not many people talk about Missouri in songs. I literally, this is so unrelated, I was looking up like song names that started with C for something, and I realized I have 3 songs called "California" saved in album music, so you can kind of see where some state favoritism is, but I think "California" by Chaperone is amazing. My 7th song, we're going back to like my indie picks. We have "It Is What It Is" by Rachel Chinouriri. So a lot of songs don't do spoken word. I think that's kind of something that a lot of songs don't do, and I just don't really hear people doing spoken word compared to rap. And in the song "It Is What It Is," there is a lot of spoken word, and it just makes it really personal, because it's kind of her being angry about a situationship. And I kind of liked how she decided for the verses to kind of do a more talking rather than singing, just because then it just feels more personal and more like angry at the person that she's writing the song to. Just because I just think if it was her singing, I think it would be a lot less personable. And I think just the beat behind it is really fun and just really helps with the spoken word. And I have to say, she has a really great talking voice. I could listen to her have a podcast because her voice is really beautiful. So I think her kind of doing a more spoken word, because this is the only song on the album that she does do like a spoken word or a rap on. I think it just really highlights it, and I really personally like it. Going into number 8, we have Blood on My Hands by Tate McRae featuring Flo Milli. Okay, so Tate McRae, So Close to What, just to kind of highlight it, I don't really know if I talked about it. It was so good. Oh my gosh, I loved So Close to What, one of my top albums of the year so far. A lot of people probably know like Sports Car, It's Okay, I'm Okay, Two Hands and Revolving Door. Those are definitely the standouts of the album. I have to say Blood on My Hands should also be a standout just because it's so fun and so catchy. I know some people are talking that they didn't really like Flo Milli's verse, but I personally really like it because it's one of two features that she has on the album, the other one being her boyfriend, the Kid Laroi, for the song that they did together called I Know Love, which I personally think was a very cute song. But I just really loved Blood on My Hands. I don't know what about it. It's just so catchy, and that's the thing about Tate McRae's music, is that it's very catchy. I can just listen to her songs over and over and over again and not be bored of it. But Blood on My Hands is just really fun. I don't think it's really supposed to kind of be serious, deep. It's just supposed to be fun, catchy, dancey, which, I mean, a lot of Tate McRae's music is dancey, which I really love from her. So yeah, that's another really great song. Number 9, we have Unforgettable by Alexandra Savior, and oh my gosh, I was so excited to hear Alexandra Savior drop because the last time that she dropped was in 2020, and I just discovered her last year from Instagram because it was some dude that was like kind of highlighting some indie artists, and that was one person that he said was Alexandra Savior with her album The Archer, so I definitely would check it out. But this is kind of her reintroduction back into music, and Unforgivable is so fun and campy because it has that deeper meaning of kind of being angry at someone, again, kind of like what it is, but it has that kind of like show girl kind of energy a little bit, just with the chorus, with the trumpets. It's so fun. I haven't heard any song kind of like this in recent times. It's jazzy, it's fun, and the lyrics are again kind of more deeper. It's just her being angry at someone, and I honestly just really love listening to this song because of how fun she just makes it. And then finally at number 10, my last song on the list is Cry For Me by Magdala Bay. Magdala Bay really should be viral. I don't know how they're not winning Grammys, going on carpets. I don't know how they are not doing that when they are making banger after banger after banger. But Cry For Me is definitely one of the least talked about songs on the album that I just don't hear people talking about. It is probably the song though that if people talk about some underrated songs of them, that's probably one of the first things they talk about. So I might sound like a little broken record here, but Cry For Me is so fun. I remember I played it in class one time and people kind of compared it to like ABBA. So that's one thing. If you like ABBA, you would like this song apparently. Well, not apparently. I honestly do kind of see it. It's, again, unique. There's 2 parts to the song, I would say, kind of like an act 1, act 2. And they just go super well together. I kind of like when songs have different acts, like kind of going off of script. Venice Be by Lana Del Rey. She has like 3 parts to that song, and they all work super well with each other. and then when she did it again for Taco Truck XVB, that again had like two parts, and they both worked super well. And when Cry For Me did it, it worked super well. I could not imagine these being two separate songs with an interlude in the middle. I personally even like it more when two smaller songs are just joined together instead of creating like 10 mini songs that could have easily been one song. Beyonce, take notes. So I'm gonna get hunted. No, I'm just kidding. But I think it's just better for them to be together. So then that way it's easier to kind of listen to. And that is my top 10. I am gonna kind of highlight some other songs that I kind of realized after I made this list I definitely should have talked about. So just throwing out some songs, like some honorable mentions. We have Fly to You by Caroline Polachek featuring Grimes and Ditto, I think. Ditto. I don't know how to say it. Again, that's a really fun song. It's like slow vocals, but then like a really fast beat. I love it. We have Angel of Satisfaction by Rose Gray. That's, again, just really fun, really unique. Just another really good song that is just kind of fun to kind of listen to and just not really have to think about anything. And then finally, 22 by Hannah Vu. I think this is probably one of her more popular songs, but I just really am addicted to it. I don't think really many people talk about Hannah Vu, and I think we should definitely. And also, the album cover Romanticism is so good. And then finally, I think I've said finally before, but whatever. Last song, I promise. We have The Power's Out by St. Vincent. It's like a very eerie song. She won a Grammy for the album, and it's just really good. And that is all the time I have. Make sure to stay tuned for a future podcast possibly coming soon. Bye.